Hey guys, welcome. We're gonna give a couple of minutes for everybody to jump in. Excited to have you guys here. Getting ready for here in the States, the 4th of July. Big holiday. Happens on a Thursday, which pretty means nobody's gonna work on a Friday anyway. So definitely excited to have you all here. Getting ready for this. Had a lot of questions from the past webinars. We appreciate you guys reaching out and talking with us about that. We're excited to dive into some cool stuff, some great opportunities that we have here. So yeah, feel free to drop some questions in the chat. We'll make sure to try to get to those here at the end. Got a little bit of a shorter one here today. We want to just hit the high points and get you guys moving on your way and enjoying your Wednesday or even Thursday, depending on where you're at in the world. I know we've got a lot of people throughout the country and throughout the world that are tuning in, to be with us today. Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys.
This is your first time with us. Certainly go to our website. You can check out previous webinars that we've hosted. So we're excited to share some of those early topics. We'll touch on a few of those points, but we're not going to dive in. Each of those are about an hour long. And this one, we have a very specific focus that we're excited to share in this just 30 minutes with you guys. So again, thank you for being here. Sorry, Brandon.
No, you're good. No, I appreciate it. So we'll go ahead and dive in. Like I said, we're going to kind of clip on the heels of Independence Day here in the States and kind of go into a new opportunity, a new frontier, and play into that a little bit. So, our last webinars, we've kind of gone over the opportunities, what it's like to invest in a emerging market. What are those opportunities and how can you protect yourself? What are the risks that you have to worry about? So, specifically, we focus here in Zambia currently. We've got a couple opportunities that we've been working on. We've got a great team on the ground. We've got team in the States. You're looking at myself, Brandon Clymer. I'm the Chief Development Officer here, and you've got Carl Steinman, our Chief Operating Officer, and the guy who really just gets things done on the back end of things. The unsung hero, we often call him. And you got Jeff Borders, our fearless leader, guy who's pioneered going into these countries and making those connections with the higher up leaders and instilling that trust in them to where they approach us with opportunities, which then we get to come and share with you all. So very excited to have you guys join us here. So a couple things that we're going to go through today. So we'll dive into a little bit of the historical context of what it's like to invest in a emerging market and kind of relevant to how it was when the U.S. was created, and how we can link those two, and you can kind of see the similarities. It's about 250 years apart, but there's a lot of commonalities. History tends to repeat itself. So we're going to go through some other current opportunities that are in Zambia and look at that. And then we have another opportunity here for you that we're excited to share with you. Our fearless leader, Jeff, has secured some great opportunities that we can really bring out and share with you guys. So we're so excited to bring you guys into that stuff today. Thanks. I'm seeing some questions come in. We'll get to those here shortly. Thank you for that. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in here. Carl, I'll go ahead and pitch it to you if you want to go ahead and dive in with everybody.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things, obviously, it's Independence Day in the U.S. We are, that independence was July 4th, so tomorrow, 1776, right? So that was quite some time ago, and the U.S. has obviously become an amazing superpower in that time frame. And Zambia, which is the country that we have this project in, this initial project, is only 60 years into their independence. And, one similarity I think is very relevant is that they were under British rule, just like the US up until independence. So back, if you look at 60 years on from 1776, the US population was just about 17 million. Zambia's population today is just 20 million. And think about the development that's happened over 200 years. It's been pretty impressive here in the U.S. And Zambia is, obviously an emerging market. But what's really attracting the world to this part of the country, or part of the that continent and the world today? Well, that's because it's really rich in minerals. It's got certainly, we've talked about in prior webinars, the access to information. I mean, Jeff and his business in Africa, in the continent of Africa, is all in technology and education and really connecting people, which has been an amazing opportunity to elevate people in a much faster way. So when we look here at how did the U.S. grow so quick, or over a course of over 200 years, and now look at Zambia and where they are, I think it's something that we're excited about. We're really putting in so much time, energy, and capital into helping see it grow. And just, if you haven't heard yet, we are all about driving food security in a region that is in very much need. We're developing commercial farming into infrastructure projects that are already happening in the continent. There's major infrastructure projects. We talked about the Libido Corridor, which is a railway that goes from the west of Africa into the central part, into Zambia. And then we have the Tanzera rail line that goes from the east again into Zambia, converging in. And that's really, it's how do you move product? We have a product that's going to be corn, right? So corn, soybeans, winter wheat, food. So I think these are things when you kind of zoom out and look at the opportunities, it's something to get really excited about. So some of the other things that I wanted to cover is certainly, what does land ownership and regulations look like? Back in the U.S., when U.S. was a developing nation, it is, okay, there is the Homestead Act. What's the Homestead Act? Well, that was large tracts of land that were provided to settlers at a very inexpensive price, but there was caveats, right? You have to help develop the land. Zambia has similar opportunities, and you can read about them in the ZDA Act. We have all of these posted in a lot of our docs, and that is the ZDA Act is attracting both investors from within the country and people to help develop the land, but also foreign investment. So there was the number was like by 2026, 2025. $35 billion they're trying to attract into the nation, okay? And about 28 of that is from foreign investment. So that's what we've done. We're trying to leverage that opportunity, drive capital, and develop the land, create jobs, create food security. So that we see it as a very similar opportunity here in Zambia.
Yeah, that's
Now,
awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brandon, if you want to.
No, I love that, Carl. Like you hit some great points there, and it's awesome to see those parallels. It's always great, as we talked about, to be able to have an opportunity to make money, but also helping people. Because at the end of the day, that's something that is just going to grow on its own, right? You've got an irresistible product that people want and need, right? It's a beautiful thing. I'll go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think another point I just wanted to reference is land valuations, right? So land valuations, obviously, with the Homestead Act was very, very inexpensive, and land valuations Zambia currently is trending upwards. In fact, it has risen roughly 6% a year over the last several years, and it's expected to continue to grow by 6% in terms of value. And that you can find on Statista is, you can just Google it and you'll see these charts. And ultimately, just by 2028, you're going to see a massive increase. And these are compounding percentages, which I think is really excited. We've built our model around certainly providing a cash crop opportunity. So we're developing the food security to provide returns for investors, but also provide food. And then, of course, there's an element of what does the land valuation look like as the country grows? We've talked about the population growth. By 2040, we're looking at maybe 40 million people. It's gonna double. So just look at the birth rates and the fertility rate of Zambia. It's much higher than the average. I think the U.S. is at like 1.6, and Zambia is well over 2. So these, that's a big difference, and that just continues to grow and grow and grow. They're a young population that has a growing middle class. Growing middle class means people are now being able to buy homes. They're certainly buying, more luxury products, certainly phones and technology, and of course beef, right? Look at beef. What do cows eat? They eat grain, right? So these are things that are all tied together in terms of why we get excited about driving this opportunity forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that, like, one stat that you called out about the 6%, increase in value. That's just as the land sits. So think about an investment, right? And if you're just like holding on to an asset that is not going away, you don't have to worry about a stock where it plummets, right? The land is not going to go away. They're not making any more of it, and it's not going away. It's there. And so just a 6% return, if you just hold it, talk about a safe investment. I mean, how awesome is that? And then put on top of that, when you improve that land, then you increase that value even more exponentially. And so that's the kind of opportunity, especially when we see about how the US, and when it was a younger country, if we look at when we were 70 years old, and then we started to hit that development and how that increased value and created tons of millionaires and billionaires and even more. Awesome. I love how good you are in the details, Carl. I mean, the knowledge that you bring is just awesome. So grateful to have you on the team. So one thing we're going to go through next is, some current opportunities in real estate, and kind of a little bit about that new opportunity. We'll give you a little taste of some of the new opportunities that, Jeff has brought to our team, and, to our people that we already work with. And it's exciting. So, Jeff, I'll go ahead and bounce it to you.
Absolutely. No, Brendan and Carl, I think you've put a great pathway for us in terms of like the vision that we've put together as a team. And looking back as we celebrate the 248th anniversary of our great nation, I can't help but sit back and reflect on what makes us such a great nation, right? And I don't think it's the resources we have. There are a lot of countries across the world with a lot of resources, and we don't see the same growth. And I think it's the value system. So as we enter, let's say, and I think Zambia, we chose Zambia as a team, as an executive team, simply because of the value alignment that we saw, right? When we look at the need for freedom and liberty, democracy, a sense of equality. As you travel across Africa, there's a sense of tribalism, which creates a lot of chaos within the development of these countries. And I think, the idea of being hardworking and being ambitious, I see all that similarity in terms of value alignment booming around Zambia. So I do want to discuss the opportunities. I just wanted to take some time to focus on, I think, what makes anything works, the core, the value. Without the value alignment, any material, any resources will not grow as well as it can grow, right? So I want to focus on the market overview because I've done some detailed analysis on the current real estate market in Zambia. We can touch on the strategic advantages, for example, what's going on right now in terms of economic stability and growth potential in Zambia. People see it as a landlocked, but I see it as a land connected, because as we farm, as we launch our farming, we also want to focus on, we're not just feeding the 22 million people in Zambia. We're going to be able to feed close to 150 million potential neighbors. To me, that is exciting, right? Because once we set the infrastructure in place, we're not only going to be able to scale to feed the entire nation, but we have about 7, 8 other countries that need cost-effective, high-quality food that we're going to be able to produce. So from a market overview standpoint, we see that the real estate sector in Zambia is quite exciting, right? I personally, I don't have a real estate background, but somehow it was so hot that you couldn't help notice the heat. I bought a piece of property in Silverest, which is near the airport, about 7, 8 years ago. And the plot was something I bought because everyone is saying I'm moving to Silverest. Matter of fact, the former president is actually living there. So we're surrounded by a lot of great neighbors, and the land was dirt cheap. And once they put the tarmac, they put a road near our land, our value went up X12. So
Wow.
we're able to cut down the land about 50 by 50 in terms of meter square, and we're able to sell each plot for what we bought the original value. So we're looking at making 12 times your investment in less than what, 6 years. Where else in the world can you do this? For me, I haven't seen it yet. I know there's great money to be made in real estate in the US, but the X12 is incredible. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's amazing. It reminds me of the gold rush, right?
That's
And
right.
everybody was going out west, California to get gold. Well, the actual millionaires made were the guys selling the shovels. You know, they're
Right.
the ones that saw the opportunity to open this door and say, here you go, let me give you an opportunity. And that's awesome because right there, that's a prime example of seeing what the opportunity is. Because as we've discussed in previous ones, like the US and so many Western countries, we built up our infrastructure over 200 years. And it was great in our growth and everything. But now that stuff that we put in 150 years ago is crumbling. You hear about it all the time. That stuff was not
Yeah.
built with the same standard as it is today to last 100 years. So now the things that we're putting in the ground with plastic pipe, we're not using lead, like all these things are going to last. And that's what is great about this infrastructure in Zambia is they are taking the modern technology that's designed to last for years and decades and centuries and put that in, which is huge when you talk about longevity of a country and be able to maintain that.
Well, another key point, Brendan, is the political stability.
Yeah.
So as we build infrastructure across, we need political stability, right? So we can build it, but if the government's not going to be around to create peace and stability, your investment is going to go, in the wrong direction. So we can talk about what makes Zambia stable. I think it's one of the most stable country. Forget about Africa, around the world. Matter of fact, I tell that to people. I'm in Chicago right now. I feel safer in Lusaka than the south side of Chicago.
That is so true. So true.
So I think those are critical component we looked at from an investment standpoint. And don't forget about the natural resources, the fertile land. We're not selling desert land, right? We're selling land that is, if you look at our land, we have 3 rivers crossing the land, right? We have things grow there effortlessly. So, and when you look at the advantage we have to be able to buy land, for example, at the price we're buying it, what would it look like to be able to go into Chicago, let's say 150 years ago, to be able to buy land? So for
Right.
me, as I walk around the buildings, I'm seeing all these beautiful skyrise, right? I'm going by the river, and I'm like, wow, what would it be like to be able to go back in time? But what I love with what we have or deals right now is that we don't have to travel back in time. We can build the future, and that's what's exciting. Because imagine 100 years from now, or even 50 years, you mentioned it. The Zambia is inheriting existing infrastructure and technological development. It's not like they have to go through the 150, 200 years that we had to go through to learn and build this. I would say within 1 to 2 generations, the country can catch up in terms of having the infrastructure we're seeing here because they're not learning from zero. They're learning from previous benchmark systems. Just like with the mobile market penetration. If you look at what happened, we started with the hardwire phones, and then we eventually got ourselves to the mobile phone. But most countries in Africa got from zero to everyone having 2 mobile phones in their pockets. And it happened in like 12, 15 years. So we see that within 20, 30 years, Zambia is not going to be the way it is. The opportunity that we got to buy land the way we did, it's going to be unheard of to be able to buy tract of land so large. Where else in the world? Like I say that to people, where else in the world can you go where you can come in and buy 25,000 acres of land, 50,000 acres of land? So for me, we think this is an amazing opportunity. And I think as we look at the value system, we look at the natural resources on the ground, Zambia is a great play. And that's why we're having these webinars to promote this awareness and to get more and more people educated on what's available and what the future will look like.
Yeah, that's
So I'll
so
pass it over
awesome.
to you, brother.
That's
Yeah.
so awesome. You brought up so many good points on that.
Yeah.
One thing that, you talked about was, the infrastructure and how that works and the creation of that. And it reminds me of Dale Carnegie back in the Industrial Revolution, and he was the steel king, right? The U.S. Steel, Bessemer Steel before that. And so he was building a bridge across the Mississippi River, right? And that was a big deal back then because it was the longest span bridge. And everybody was really skeptical. They were worried, like, oh man, is it going to work? Like, it's never been done before. And one thing he did was he had an elephant walk across first because they won't walk across anything that's not safe. It's some omen or something. I don't know. They got, something inside them that knows that. And so that was awesome. Talk about a guy that truly pioneered it. And so it's great, that you've had this vision and you brought myself and Carl with you to be part of this, and share it with everybody else because like you said, a 12x, I mean, that's unheard of when you talk about, and not everything is a slam dunk like that. Sorry, maybe it's a 6x. Oh my goodness. What are you going to do with that, right? Great stuff. So excited for it. Thank you for bringing that up.
But I
Do you have
think in
something
this
else?
case, Brendan, the elephant thing is amazing. I think we are the elephant because we have successful businesses. We're seasoned business people. We run 8-figure companies. So we know where to step to ensure stability. So we will not take our investors somewhere unstable. We are the elephant across the bridge to say, hey, it is safe enough, follow us. We've invested our own resources. We put our skin in the game, and we're making sure that whoever follows us, it's a stable ground because we have years, decades of experience to know what stability looks like.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great point. We
Yeah.
have done this where we've invested our own money. We've had success already in the space. And some people ask, well, then why are you doing this? Why even bring anybody else to the party? And we're firm believers here at the company. Like we have this mindset that it is not a fixed pie. The pie keeps growing. And so for us, bringing people in and allowing them to get that opportunity allows us to go get other opportunities to bring other people in. And really, that's what it is about that growth because we know that there's a finite time on these opportunities. And so going in and being able to seize those is the best thing. And everybody knows you can do more with a team. We have the three of us that come in and we guide this, but we have other investors and silent partners that come with us and want to be a part of that team and join us as we go into currently Zambia, and we got Malawi, we're working on some deals, Tanzania. We've got all these different opportunities that we've been working on, and it's very, very exciting. I mean, I just look at in the past 7 months what we've done and these kind of opportunities, and some of these deals that we've completed and closed just blows my mind. So I thank you so much for that, Jeff, and your leadership. So I'll kind of go a little bit into the process of what's it like to buy land in Zambia, in another country. And people always get concerned because they don't know. And it's really pretty simple, okay? It's pretty much like the US with a couple caveats. So we've talked about it's a lease land country. And so what that means is that the state actually owns all the land. So similar to Hawaii, for instance, they have land that's owned by that, and then they'll give it to aboriginals as a lease. So it's the same thing. So you essentially buy land, but you're leasing it for 99 years from the government for whatever that is. So essentially you own it. I mean, I'm not going to live for another 99 years, as much as I wish. Like, unless Elon comes up with something, I'm not going to be around. So pretty much what it is. So, okay, I've got a parcel of land, right? So you've called Carl or Jeff or, I probably won't pick up, but they will. And you said, hey, I want to get in on this opportunity. I want to buy 100 acres. Like, what do I do? Right. So you're going to look at it and you're going to say, hey, I want to be in this area. This is where I want my parcel to be. Simple. You're going to do a purchase agreement, just like you would in the States, right? So you're just like, hey, I want to buy this 10 acres in the States. It's going to cost me $7 million, but that's okay. And I'm going to get that purchase agreement. Okay, it's signed and it says, here you go. I'm going to buy it for this much, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to put my deposit down. Okay, so that you know that I'm serious. So now you've got that purchase agreement in place. The next step is what's called a due diligence period. Now, what this is where you're going to do your research. So maybe you want to get a phase 1 study done on the ground, which means you're going to have somebody come in there, take some soil samples and look at it and make sure there's no nuclear radiation or some dead bodies or something on there. And so, you want to make sure that that's done so that if you do find something, you back out and you're okay. Another thing is like, okay, I'm going to buy this land in Zambia. I want to make sure that it's titled and that I can actually get it. So, okay, that's part of your due diligence. The purchase agreement is going to be contingent on a few things. One of them is going to be, hey, this land is titled so that I make sure that it's registered with the state. Hey, I'm going to make sure that the survey is accurate, so that I get the actual acreage that I said I'm doing. So there's a few things, and it's all a negotiation when you look at real estate. At the end of the day, we're people, okay? And so maybe you're like, well, I want to make sure I can see the sunrise. Like, okay, whatever. That's your thing. So, that's pretty much, the step one and step two. And then, step three is you go through all that and you just close. You come back and either you secure private financing, you pay cash, which is great, or you do like a seller financing, like we would carry back. So say you come to us and say, hey, Carl, I've got $25,000. Okay, I just want to get in the space. I want to get some exposure. I want to capture some of that gain. Okay, great. But I want to buy more than 25. All right, great. So how about this? You want to put down your deposit, you buy the 25, and I'm going to finance another 25. And so then you pay over time, either with us, or if you want to do it at a bank, we're probably going to give you better terms. And then you just finance that over the term. And then as you make the payments, then you get that just like you would any other loan payment. So there's a lot of parallels, pretty simple. Zambia particularly has done a great job at encouraging foreign investment and having rule of law to make sure people can get in there and do it. Now, what's interesting and what our opportunity is, foreigners often can't buy land as easy. Now, this goes back to Jeff and his relationships and us being able to get in there and make the relationships with the government to say, hey, we are not somebody that's just going to come in, rob you, and leave like the Chinese. We're going to come in and help grow and give back to that population. And part of that is we turn people away. We have people that come to us and offer and want to get with us. And if they're not aligned and we think that they're going to be up to no good, we're not going to do that, because at the end of the day, we know this is just one deal. There's 9 more down the thing. I mean, Jeff gets calls from chiefs and other, important figures about land all the time. He doesn't have time to do it. I mean, he has to schedule time to go on vacation with his family because he is so busy having all these deals that he has to. So that's not a lie. He has all these deals that he has to source through. I don't know how he does it. Honestly, I couldn't do it myself. So that's
with
just
you guys next to me, it's easier, by the way. Brandon.
right.
Like,
Yeah, he's got some. Yeah. So that's an overview of kind of what that is. And so, we said we try to keep this in. I know we're running a little late, so we can go ahead and dive into some questions, unless you have anything, Jeff.
No, I think we can go straight into the Q&A. We're getting some questions. I think hi Carlos. I think he's the CEO of Bravo and Bravo in SAS, Colombo, USA, to Houston, Texas. Carlos, I think you have some questions. He wants to send his company to Africa. Are you interested in entering the market, Carlos? I don't know if you want to give us a bit of context in terms of like your plan. We can always schedule a time with Carl. Carl will be happy to sit down with you and learn more about your plan. Or if you're happy to share with us here, we can definitely get you to type something and we can make that part of our Q&A.
Yeah,
and so in the meantime,
listen, Chip, I'll post my Calendly link and then they can book time, whatever's convenient for you. And if it doesn't work, just send me an email. And because we have, I know there's people all around the world, so I'll try to, alter the schedule based on a good convenient time.
fantastic.
Steven, to answer your question, same thing. You can, contact Carl to set up a meeting. I know you're looking for investment opportunities. I know you're, like I said, you're out of New York. I feel sorry for it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's great.
I'm from New York, by the way, just so you know, Brandon.
Okay. And then soon, how does land investment in Zambia compare to land investment in the US? So yeah, I kind of just went over that a little bit in my thing, but essentially it's a lot of the same process. The biggest thing that you're going to see is the leasehold system, and that's really, I mean, America is a little bit different than the rest of the world. Like a lot of countries do that. Similar to like how metric and US standard, like I don't know why we are on our own thing. We're just weird. So a pound, kilo, whatever. But yeah, it's very, very similar to that. So let's see here, I think we're kind of out of time. I want to be respectful of everybody's thing. So really especially now, yeah, okay, all right, fine, you're Oklahoma. Perfect. Hey, I was just out in Oklahoma City. We've got a project out there. So doing a little development. So yeah, thanks everybody for jumping on. Happy early 4th of July to everybody here in the States.
Well, before you wrap up, Brendan, the announcement. I don't know if
Oh,
you want
yes,
to
go
talk about
ahead.
this.
Sorry.
All right, so we've been getting a lot of feedback on people who want to invest. They want to invest, but they also want to know what else they can do to own land. As you know, we have a fund. The minimum entry point is you need to be a accredited investor. Although if you're not, we will need to kind of interview you a little bit more in depth to ensure that again we're compliant with the SEC. And it's a 250,000 minimum entry into our fund. So either people are not ready to make that level of commitment, but they want to buy land. So what we've done is we've created an exciting new product where people now can be able to buy land. We do require a minimum 100 acre, but imagine being able to buy 100 acres of land for as low as $250. So we are going to launch more information on this, and we just sat down with our attorneys. We went to the due diligence to ensure how is it going to be possible for the average American or the average wherever you are in the world. If you're not a Zambian citizen and you want to buy land in Zambia, we're creating a product or marketplace where we'll be able to help you own land that you can do whatever you want with for 99 years. So the leasehold means that for 99 years, you will be able to do what you want with your land. Of course, we have some caveat we want to discuss in terms of the legalities. So we're going to launch this product and we've launched the product and we're going to share some information in the next coming weeks. I know, like Brendan said, this week is already over. 4th of July is tomorrow. Friday, no one's working. So by next week, you should be able to hear more information from us. And yeah, so we wanted to announce this. We've been getting a lot of messages on, hey, I want to buy land. I have my investment portfolio already. I'm a stock guy or I'm a crypto guy, but I just want to own land. Now it's possible with Acres Club to be able to buy land and own the land and transfer it to the next generation. So I wanted to put that out there, Brendan. We'll share more information on our website and we'll email everyone here once the informations are clearly packaged. So back to you, Brendan.
No, thank you. I'm glad you said that. I forgot. Yeah, I mean, great opportunity. You can buy and hold, you can develop, put a vacation home there, hold on to it, resell it, capture that, and just keep rolling it over. I mean, more millionaires were made from real estate than anything else. And you have a massive opportunity to get in at a lower capital cost compared to what you have in the States or Europe, especially something like that. So super excited about that. Thank you for reminding me. And so thanks everybody for jumping in. Great time today. Have a wonderful 4th of July, and we'll see you on the next one.
God bless America and Zambia.
There you go.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.